If the Earth is flat, P,
Okay.
then there would be no measurable change in elevation. Q.
Okay.
Elevation is a measured change in the vertical axis, therefore not Q.
Therefore, Earth is not flat. And in maths, you can prove whatever you like. I'm saying it's not physics. That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah, so where does the proof of your flat Earth, where does that come into it?
You measure Earth as flat with a flat baseline to a ground position to start. You can also prove a flat Earth by measuring angles. How useful for proving a flat Earth? It's a measurement of a flat Earth. Okay, measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct.
So what about the proof then, right? Does the proof of flat Earth that you have, does that lie within the bounds of science?
I will get triggered now because this is dishonest prick.
Okay, measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct.
Well, I was just wondering, when you were talking about proof of your flat Earth, is that the same proof as the proof that you were talking about with Jaren in science?
I answered the first two times. I said no. Twice. No.
I will
No.
get triggered now because this is
Measuring
dishonest prick.
things like a flat baseline to a ground position to start. That's not scientific. That's a measurement. Science establishes
Should I
the
show you how
cause
it's
of an
possible,
effect.
mate?
That's the science we deal with. We deal with natural
By
science.
using scientific
And while
method
the knowledge can be put on the cover of a book as the science
prove the Earth
of
is flat.
ground position to start, here we specifically deal with natural
Should I show you how
science.
it's possible,
That's
mate?
the scientific method.
by using
There's the
scientific
distinction.
method to prove the Earth is flat.
And I'll agree with you. In maths, you can prove things in the maths. The maths itself is an abstract language. Whereas physics, that's science and the scientific method, is dealing with the physical. It's the difference between science, physics, the physical, and maths, which
Should I
is
show
an
you how it's
abstract
possible,
language to describe things. Now, if you're saying you can prove things with maths, 1 + 1 = 2. Ground position. Proof. To start. And you are equal to, you've had 1 plus the other one. I can accept that that's proof. Ground position. Maths. To
Yeah.
start. In physics, it isn't proof.
Should I show
Because
you
it
how it's
isn't
possible,
physics.
mate?
Physics is the
By
physical.
using scientific method to prove the Earth
Okay,
is
again,
flat.
I can use the scientific method to prove the Earth is flat. Not the Earth is flat because of scientific method. There's a difference. Shape is not science, but I can use method, the scientific method, to show that it is flat.
Ground position. To start.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I got your numbers, they're right here.
Yes, that's correct.
It's just as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Sphere, not see
You
thing.
have to open your mind.
Flat, I see thing.
Imagination is all you need.
You do know science is also
Don't
deductible.
take advice from fools.
That is a fact.
Everything that they say is in vain.
So this is a flat Earth proof. Yes, that's correct.
Never take advice from fools. We all know what they do is in vain.
Should I show you how it's possible, mate? By using scientific
Yes,
method
that's correct.
to prove the Earth is flat.
An Earth was proved to be flat by these measurements. So we would assert that that average is how average the level of level is. It's flat. There it is. That's how we use it. The deviation from that reference means it isn't flat.
Everything is relative to you.
I will get triggered now because this is
You
dishonest prick.
just have to say
Yes, that's
it.
correct.
Generality.
It's a what is.
Just
Go.
like those straight lines are curving.
Means it isn't flat. Yes, that's correct.
Drive down the road, don't you ever.
The elevation changes make the Earth not flat.
Third, then, it's a stupid argument. So this is a flat Earth proof.
Let all of this go.
Don't report to FED or no one. I am my own person. I am my own person.
Yes, that's correct.
Everything that they say is in
By using scientific method to prove the Earth is flat.
Never take advice from fools.
To prove the Earth is flat.
That they do is in vain.
Don't report to FED or no one. I am my own person.
What's your observed phenomenon for a flat Earth?
Did I say flat Earth was my observed phenomena, or did I say I can use scientific method to prove it's flat? Huh.
Okay, what's your observed phenomenon? to prove that it's flat?
I see too far. How's that?
I know the game that you're playing,
You want to know, Jason?
and I know exactly what's on your mind.
Nah, I'm just letting the FED crew know
You got your playbook, it's alright.
that their lapdog needs more
Your
training
model dictates what you will find.
because you're an idiot.
And I don't know
Okay, what's your observed phenomena to prove that it's flat?
where all of this goes.
I see too far. How's that?
Don't take advice from fools.
Because you're an idiot.
Everything that they say is in vain.
I'm manipulating my position.
Never take advice from fools. We all know what they do is in vain.
Do I manipulate my position when I manipulate my position? Do I manipulate my position when I manipulate my position?
What does your position have to do with the shape of the Earth?
You have an angle towards this.
You can also prove a flat Earth by measuring angles.
Observe, which is
How
already
useful
too far
for
to
proving a
see.
flat Earth.
Now that is scientific fact. There's no real evidence for it, but it is scientific fact.
The rebuttal is actually a straw man. And that's, why I want to clarify, because I think that's worth pointing out, that the rebuttal was a straw man. Nowhere in the argument is the words level plane even mentioned. Topography is not mentioned. And it's only about the elevation change, which is a measured change on the vertical datum. There is no conflation between baseline and topography in the argument. It's just a simple if-then argument about elevation change. And obviously the Earth is not flat because of elevation change. That's what the argument is about. I mean, we can read it out, the entire if-then, again, if it's needed.
Read me one more time, just so I can hear it again. Sorry, say it one more time.
If the Earth is flat, Pete,
Okay.
then there would be no measurable change in elevation. Q.
Okay.
Elevation is a measured change in the vertical axis, therefore not Q.
For Earth is not flat.
But the refutation to the argument being that there's some sort of conflation going on between a baseline and topography is just a straw man, because that's not the case for anybody who actually reads the argument. That's my point.
Well, it's not an argument because you're convoluting the baseline from which you will measure, which is your mean sea level. You're convoluting that with the topology you're trying to measure. So it's not an argument. Just you're misusing words.
And me stating the fact that mean sea level is a point on a vertical datum and not a level plane is just a statement of fact. Mean sea level is not a level plane, it's simply a point on a vertical datum. That's all.
Yes, but it's not a level. You don't understand that. What you just said.
Non-argument, you stupid bonehead!
Okay, again, I can use the scientific method to prove the Earth is flat. Not the Earth is flat because of scientific method. There's a difference. Shape is not science, but I can use the scientific method, to show that it is flat.
Why do we have to listen to this incessant verbal diarrhea with the verbatim repetition of it? Bird it!
Just be patient, guys. This happened before.
Well, I was just wondering, when you were talking about proof of your flat Earth, is that the same proof as the proof that you were talking about with Jared in science?
I answered the first two times. I said no. Twice.
You don't understand.
Earth is not flat.
You don't understand.
Earth is not flat.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
Where's the science for a stationary Earth? Okay, way to demonstrate that you don't understand what science is without saying you don't understand what science is. Because science deals with cause and effect relationships. Though natural science, that's the study of the physical and natural world, is what we are dealing with here on Flat Earth Debate. Now that is exclusively the singular scientific method. That is exclusively illuminating the cause of naturally occurring phenomena. So when you say, what's the science for stationary Earth?
Should I show you how it's possible, mate?
Okay. you're so used to being told that you can prove concrete nouns with science.
By using scientific method to prove the Earth is flat.
Prove concrete nouns with science, do you expect us to adhere to that non-standard?
Not the Earth is flat.
Earth is not flat.
Don't understand.
Earth is not flat.
Not the Earth is flat.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Because of scientific method. Shape is not science, but I can use the scientific method to prove the Earth is flat.
You can prove concrete nouns with science, do you expect us to adhere to that non-standard? It's not a cause and effect relationship that you're asking about. So when you say flat Earth,
Should I show you how it's possible, mate?
measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct.
By using scientific method to prove the Earth is flat.
That's not something happening. That's not an occurrence. That's not a phenomenon. You're not going to get an IVDV relationship.
Do I manipulate my position when I manipulate my
It's
position?
absurd to ask us for the science of flat Earth.
You can use the scientific method, to show that it is flat.
No, you can ask for the measurements of flat Earth, the geometry of flat Earth. Okay, measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct. The practical application of flat Earth, you can ask for all those things and we can provide them.
You don't understand.
Earth is not flat.
Not the Earth is flat.
You don't understand.
Not the Earth is flat.
Earth is not flat.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
To a ground position.
Just on your own.
But asking for the science of a concrete noun demonstrates you don't understand what science is. To a ground position.
No reason,
The star.
no logic,
Ground
no
position.
wisdom,
The star.
no worries.
It's elucidating the cause of an effect, and the
You're
effect
just on your own.
exclusively natural. Only natural.
Does that lie within the bounds of science?
To question.
Ground position. The
You're just
star.
on your own.
So what about the proof then, right? Does the proof of flat Earth, does that lie within the bounds of science?
Well, it's not an argument because you're convoluting the baseline from which you will measure, which is your mean sea level. You're convoluting that with the topology you're trying to measure. So it's not an argument. Just you're misusing words.
What does that have to do with the shape of the Earth?
Sphere, not see thing. Flat, I see thing. I will get triggered now because he's a dishonest prick. You can use the scientific method to prove it's flat. Flat itself is not a science. You want to know how I can use science to prove it's flat? Have you ever thought of that? How do you do it?
Was that your
Proof.
exit? Are
What?
you going to try and plug your shit on my channel? You
No,
stupid
why
clown?
would I want to do that?
Lost. Lost. If you're telling me you're going, I didn't thank you in return, you noticed.
Yeah. Keep watching Nathan Oakley. And we are live. Welcome everyone. It's Wednesday and we don't know what we're doing. So I guess this is going to be like a free-for-all Friday type thing, but we're in the middle of a transition. So, hey, if you want to say whatever you want to say, right? This is the whole idea of this thing. What we're doing, this live show, has always been a chance for people to say their thing without it being misrepresented. These people can say their own things. I've had a chance to say all of the stuff that I wanted to say. This is the chance for everybody else. This is where it's at. We don't actually make these videos for any other reason. This is only so people do not get misrepresented. You get a chance to state your case as is around here. If you want to come and say your case, Sean Hawkins has been offered to come over and present his Polaris challenge. He's not taken that up, never has, never will. And we've obviously presented our cases for all sorts of things, obviously privately as well as publicly. But most of the stuff that we've been doing is within the Discord server. And you may not be aware of all of the things that we have actually done. That's all been preparing for a certain point, and that's when my son becomes an adult, because obviously I'm in this because somebody accused me of being a child abuser, yeah, for saying that level is a straight line on a horizontal plane. Now it's becoming a little bit different. The flat earthers have turned. Strange to imagine that. The guys with the globes, well, it's a faith. Well, I think they've established that. I don't want to rock anybody's faith. So, they're not coming after us. We leave them alone. We still state the certain things that we've been saying all along. We've built arguments, we've built proofs, we've built tests. We've done all sorts of things. Now it appears flat earthers want to, well, I don't know, want to imagine that we haven't done all of those things. They have I would say a short memory, but like it seems to go in 4-year cycles. And we're here we are. There was a time, well, like we've talked to most people, but there was a time 4 and a bit years ago, I remember saying to QE, it's like, well, why don't you just say that the horizon's horizontal? Because it's a lot less confusing, and that's all you really need to say, isn't it? Because it's obviously provable. That's one of the things that is provable. But the unfortunate part of it is that it doesn't prove that the Earth's flat, because the Earth isn't flat. Now, it's an unfortunate thing that flat earthers have taken on this thing about the Earth being flat. And it's obviously not flat, but they've obviously decided that the flat Earth that they imagine isn't actually flat. But they find it hard to be able to express that. So they come up with weird reasonings to justify what I would consider is a contradiction. It's an internal contradiction that they've accepted. And I think the Globe guys, at least the ones that are deep into the model, they've also realised that they are holding contradictions too. Now, in fact, I know the problems that caused when you do internalize a contradiction, and people pointing that out to you is, well, it has some really strange reactions, and you don't really want to be doing that to people, because it's troubling to realize that you've gone through a certain portion of your life holding on to a contradiction. Now, most of the time, you don't even know where it came from, how you ended up holding it. It was just sort of placed there. Maybe you placed it there yourself. Maybe you've allowed yourself to hold these contradictions and you've justified them. I always imagined that, like most of the time you're given a model and it's a pretty vague model. And as you're going through your life, the formative years, there may be a crack or two that appear, but you can smooth it over, put a bit of polyfiller there and carry on. And then maybe there's another crack, and like you get to a certain age and you realize there isn't actually much there. It's just all polyfiller. You've completely manufactured this model all of yourself. Like we went over it the other week. The Buster called it the schema. That's your model that you've made. Nobody else. It's just on you. You're the one that's filled these cracks with polyfiller. You're the one that did that mentally. And you end up in this position where you possibly hold contradictions. These cracks have joined up together and they've you know, there's no substance there at all. It's just completely, totally polyfiller. And when you hear people say things, you begin to wonder, isn't that strange that people can justify those sort of things? We heard last night some of the strangest stuff I've ever heard, really, because we go over logic a lot. And the beginning of this year, there's a certain group of people, a flat earth debate crew, frantic bunny ears around the debate. They came out with a statement that the earth's measured flat. Now, how many months is it now? We're nearly into 4 months of this year, definitely 3. And nobody's really come up with any sort of an explanation of how they managed to measure it flat. Certain people have told us to, you know, go to the beach and look at the horizon. Well, optical measurements like that are ridiculous. You can't just do that. But I mean, flat earthers have told us that's one of the ways that they measure it flat. Other guys have said they measure an angle to a light in the sky. Well, last night we heard that it's a non-geometric point that you're using to place this angle upon. And other people make it into a triangle, but it's a triangle that involves a non-geometric point that you can't seem to solve the triangle for. Or you get asked, why would you want to solve the triangle? It's because it's a mathematical concept that people automatically do. Some people do anyway. I'm one of those people. If you claim to have a triangle, then those things are solvable as triangles. So I haven't got a clue what's going on, really. There's some sort of a weird thing going on. 2024 is going to be ridiculous because the reactions, we did deal with this with the Globe guys in the early days of the Globe. It's like a mental affliction, we call it a model affliction, but that was with the Globe guys, and it seems to have spilled over now to the flat earth. And I came into this because I have a fondness of people that get misrepresented. Initially, I was one of those people that was getting misrepresented. And then I had no idea of a model or anything like that. But I felt a kinship with this group of people that were getting labelled as, you know, things that they obviously weren't. You can't sort of go around being so bigoted to call an entire group of people. Especially when people say they're not part of that group, yet people keep putting you back in that group. And that's ultra bigotry. They specifically place you within a box so that they can be bigoted towards you. That's specific. It's like they have a need for this, placing people in this other group just so that they can place, call it hatred, dislike, disdain, just to ask people asking questions. Now, I've been looking at, I've got it in front of me now, Imaginometry. I literally made this. It's a non-Euclidean geometry. In fact, it's the most non-Euclidean geometry there is. But it does follow the same form of Euclidean geometry with an idea that people were going to at least look into Euclidean geometry through this Imaginometry. But it's sort of gone into the background because, you know, we did it a fair few years ago and it doesn't really seem relevant. Well, it is. It's ultra relevant, but that's the way this arena goes. People want you to forget things that happened a bit ago. Like it's under the table, water under the table. Just forget about it, you know. Let it go. But it's there. We've got a website. It's all wrote on the website. It was as flat Earth was as ridiculous back then as it is now today. Not changed. My understanding of what is flat and what isn't flat is exactly the same. It's not changed. Just the understanding of how these people... So initially I came into this because there was a group of people calling flat earthers names specifically. And, well, I thought that's not going to be good because most people in reality would, you know, be placed in this group by these people if, you know, if people were to know about it. So I didn't want to bring people into an arena where they were going to end up being called, you know, all sorts of weird names. So, you know, I just sort of wanted to know why these people were doing that. Now, they're not doing it so much now. They don't want anything to do with us. This group of people that were initially calling us names, they keep well away. But it's changed just recently. Flat earthers are now taking on that role. And they're taking it on exactly the same as what the globe earthers were doing. And that is very strange to me because now the people who live in reality are the ones that are being attacked by flat earthers. And it's happening because they're just asking questions of claims that are being made by the flat earthers. There's no way you're getting around it. The claims that are being made by the flat earthers. And when you question them about these claims, well, see, and that's another thing. These claims initially of what the globers say were told to me by the flat earthers. The model was given to me by the flat earthers. Now, I don't think flat earthers realise this because they get told that it's not them. You know, these new people that come into the arena, they get asked questions by the flat earthers. And I'm guessing people in reality aren't aware of what this nonsense is that they're talking about. So the nonsense gets talked about by flat earthers more than the globe earthers, as far as I'm aware. Globe earth is just the people who live in reality that have imagined, like I said at the beginning, they've polyfilled these little gaps within their reality. Now, most of the time, will have nothing to do with the globe. They might have seen it on the news, TV programs, or, you know, from pictures. They'll definitely have seen it from films and games and stuff like that. But, I mean, how many people actually associate that with reality? Maybe in the back of the mind. Maybe somewhere in the back of your mind, you've managed to conjure this schema. And you might fit those pictures to this model, or you may not. Who knows? I know that I did not. But that's because I wasn't starting with a model. I may be unique in all of this, but I'm doubting it, really. I bet there's got to be other people that don't really have the same concept of a model as most of the flat earthers imagine the globe earthers have, or the globe earthers imagining the flat earthers have. And if nobody can communicate between these different sides, then nobody's going to actually know how people imagine reality to be. There's nothing wrong with questioning stuff. Science is all about questioning each other. I think that's what we're missing. So if anybody does want to come in and have a chat about anything, the problems that you've had, you seem to be able to talk to these people, but they end up silencing you. You end up getting talk nonsense. Mainly you get asked questions that don't make sense. And when you try and clarify, what does that mean? Please explain, help us out. And there's no help that comes. You just get told that you're a troll. Well, most of the people around here are adults. I know my audience seems to be of the much higher range. Aged people, 40s, 50s, most of the audience, some even 60s, 70s. And there's a lot of wisdom that's gone around, but most people haven't ever conceived of what this model is that they're holding. The model of everything. The all. I don't know. And I never have. I've always been wondering, what's going on? What do other people imagine? Because I don't know. I've got no model. I have no need for a model either. It seems like some people do. It's their all, particularly within this arena. Sorry, Gary. Yeah, anytime anybody wants to pop in, I'm just waffling. Just trying to...
I had a laugh this morning on Oakley's show. He kept saying over and over again that if you take an angle to a star, it doesn't matter if you change elevation. He keeps saying you'll still see the same angle, and that the sky doesn't obey perspective. I'm just like cracking up because they have to adjust, because all the readings for latitudes were based on readings from sea level, elevation angles taken from sea level. You have to adjust. If you use a marine sextant, you have to adjust because all they're doing is measuring a light in the sky over a horizon, right? Well, your horizon moves further outward. The thing you could see and call a horizon when you go up, which makes anything in the sky move up. It does the same thing. That's why you have these guys with the drone, watch the sunset, send the drone up, see the sunset a second time. Well, according to Oakley this morning, that shouldn't happen, because his elevation angles don't change, but you would have suddenly the sun would be above the horizon again. So it would have a higher angle. So he just cracks me up. Now, if you use what do they call
just a minute, Gary.
A bubble sextant?
Yeah, did you watch them last night? Did you watch QE's show last night?
I listened to bits and pieces of it.
Because I think that's where the spillover of today was something, lingering thoughts that were in Nathan's head from last night.
Well, Nathan's been saying this for at least 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Well, he never used to say that. And now he's saying, it will not change because the stars are wondrous and heavenly, and so they won't change.
Meant nothing to him a few years ago, right? They didn't matter. What can you do with the lights in the sky? We're talking about the ground, and now all of a sudden he's been sold this. It's got to be 10th Man, right? He was a salesman, 10th Man.
Well, they mentioned 10th Man a couple times on the show this morning.
They've given up the logic and the reasoning. I mean, we watched you put that in the live chat, Gary, because we were watching it here. And just before you put that in here, I said exactly what you just said to Bev. I said, wait a minute, doesn't, all the drone footages of the sun setting, and then you go up in the drone, 50 feet, and then you can see the sun again. Doesn't that mean the angle changes? Wait a second.
Absolutely.
And then you put that exact thing in the live chat. It's like, how does anybody not see that can actually reason and think logically?
Well, that's just like anybody who uses a marine sextant to measure an angle over the horizon or whatever. You have to adjust that to what the reading would be at sea level, right? They have to adjust for height above surface. Yeah.
Which is another reason that a sextant doesn't establish a horizontal plane of reference. It's not a tool for doing that. If you have to have correction tables, then how can it be a tool to establish a horizontal plane of reference like Nathan Oakley claims? Just ridiculous.
Well, even if they have their, a flat base, it's only to the horizon because you're measuring a light in the sky above what you can see as a horizon, right? That's all you're doing. And that star is way beyond your horizon, so it can't be a 90. It has to be directly over your horizon to have it as any kind of a 90 or even close to 90.
But you've
And
just got
so
3 points for measuring an angle, right? You're the sextant. You're the
Yes.
the point, the vertex, right? That's where you are.
Yes.
And then the one
Yes.
point, the horizon. The other point, light
Yep.
in the sky. Now, what happens in between those? Completely irrelevant for the angle measurement. You don't require a horizontal plane at all.
But they want to keep claiming a 90 and say, so they say the horizon extends all the way to the GP of Polaris, right? So they're just doing the same kind of thing the globe guys do when they take their radius to the center of the Earth to measure their angles from. And that's like, you imagine you're going to the center of Earth. Well, they're imagining that horizon extends in an optical way all the way to the GP of Polaris, and it can't. You can't measure what you can't see, right? Without making other assumptions. So if you can't see the base or the GP of Polaris, on the ground, and Polaris above it, and know where you're at, you can't really measure an angle, or you won't get a right angle, right?
Yeah, well, you
Because you've got to be able to.
You can't complete that triangle. Like the whole reason we said you can do fuck all with an angle.
No, but they're pretending they do. But then they get skewered by FTFE and I'm just totally blank on his name, McToon. They'll keep pointing out, but if we keep taking elevations from, it's the same distance from one latitude to the next, and it doesn't match what it should. Well, they're always thinking of an orthographic 90-degree triangle
No, they're
view.
thinking of a right-angled triangle, which is their problem. They don't understand how it works.
Yeah,
in reality.
But they're doing the same thing Nathan's doing. They're extending it all the way to where you're standing. Even though we can't actually see it, right?
But then they have to. The funny thing, though, Gary, is that they then have to deny that any of this is geometric to avoid the complication of getting a height to the light in the sky because you've created a right angle triangle.
Yeah, I keep mentioning that in their chat. They don't respond to that at all.
Nope.
A couple guys just call me a Poe or whatever. They say I'm a Globey now, and
you got called a Bevite. I heard that. It's like this is getting ridiculous.
Nice. Welcome to the club, Gary.
Yeah.
It took you long enough to come on over and be a Bevite, for God's sake.
No, but I listen to everybody, bits and pieces. I'm trying to get my own thoughts pulled out from
as
is
everyone, right? Everybody is just pulling from what they know. This is the whole idea of the schema, right? It's your worldview. You only know what you know because of you've experienced it or you've thought about it. You've made your own connections.
I kept thinking about the 90-degree angle. How can they get that right angle triangle when they can't see it? And it's like, and it wasn't making any sense. And I knew that the elevation angles didn't measure for what guys like McToon will use a orthographic viewed right angle triangle and say, oh, I have to measure this over there, but it's only measuring this, and it's like, so you end up getting with all that stuff because guys like Nathan says your baseline extends all the way to the GP, and then you got a right angle triangle there, and so he does everything on that. But he's messed up. Both sides are messed up. Both sides are.
Is my mic okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I can now say that I've been brainwashed by Gary Whitebenger as well, because
congrats,
thank you, Gary.
Elder Bear.
Yeah, because I heard somebody say something. It has influenced me just right in this moment because Gary's looking at different things than I was looking at, and now it's kind of increased my incredulity at this. The Earth is measured flat, and so now I can say no. Bev didn't control me and brainwash me. I can now put Gary Whitebenger on the list, and that includes all the audience. I mean, if you're listening to this, then you are being brainwashed according to the current narrative. That you're being brainwashed and controlled, and you're only listening. the people talking about their experiences and their wonderment of, well, how does that work? And, you know, logically thinking about things. So, yeah, thanks, Gary. I mean, I've got, that's what's happened to me, you know, well, a lot recently. You know, I'm a bever.
Yeah, I hear him going after you.
Yeah, today I was there. I think they might start calling me Elder Bev. That seems to be that. Yeah,
that would be good.
It was Neil.
That's nice.
Yeah,
The first couple times I brought Costello.
Yeah, so
Neil
yeah.
Costello.
Yeah, Constantino. He's funny.
No, it's Abbott and Costello. He's Costello, so his last name's now Costello.
Yeah, and Brian's Logic did a lot of that today as well, and you know, I got dragged into something that I didn't expect to get dragged into. I was just listening, and as Gary said, you know, if you've been watching Oakley recently, he seems to be in damage control. That's what I kind of feel. He's challenged about some things, and then he has to clear up the little discrepancies and try and tighten up the ship and keep everybody on track, because he can't lose the Earth is measured flat hashtag. You know, this is he's all in on this. It's like poker. He's all in on it, and he's blind with his cards as well. So, you know, he's just bluffing. And it seems that, you know, when some challenges are put to him, then he, in his next show, he has to kind of, you know, find something to cover those gaps that he didn't the day before. So, yeah, it's constant work.
But at least we know now that this measurement of flat Earth is not geometrical. So we know that at least.
Yeah, it's either optics or I don't know how they can get away with calling it an angle if it's to a non-geometric point.
Yep.
Hey, you retard! That's it. That's the answer.
You stop being pedantic. You know what we mean. It's like, I don't know. I've lost it now. Like Nathan's saying that it's the lights in the sky don't follow geometric properties or geometric laws or something, he said.
Well, they don't conform to our understanding of geometry.
Yes, and in addition to that, they say also that perspective, so optics, doesn't follow geometrical principles. So therefore, all optical devices, it is complete nonsense. You cannot do surveying, do things with camera, nothing, or telescope, or this rifle scope. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because it is disobeying geometrical rules. So completely useless tools. This is just insanity for me, saying that perspective doesn't obey optical or geometrical rules or principles. It's just nonsense. How can you do this study a hair measurement?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to show Gary. I've just put a picture in the chat there, Gary, right? Now, that is the principle of stadiometric range finding. And it works on the principle of horizontals and verticals, the measurements. And they're both relatable to each other. Now, that happens in a linear relationship. Now, what can you see in that? And you might, I don't want to give you too much because I think you can take this away and work it for yourself. But that is a linear relationship and it works in a linear way. People have said that something doesn't follow this linear relationship, right? It sort of does, but it doesn't. And I think that's part of the misunderstanding that people are getting. They don't quite see the whole picture. They're only seeing half of it, right? As above, so below. Never forget that. unless, of course, you're wanting to put a right angle somewhere. And that's half of the reason I said to Ruhith, right? Well, most of the reason I said to Ruhith, that angle there does not equal the length of those lines. Now, I don't know how many people actually saw that, so take credit for it. I think personally, 10th Man saw a way, maybe to work with Ruhith. I don't know. I can't really tell. I've never been able to have the conversations that, you know, work with any of this sort of stuff. And believe me, I tried to work it. But I think, I think 10th Man has sold flat earthers something that, well, he sold them half of a thing that Ruhith has invented. The opposite side angle. The reason you cannot do anything with an angle is because you can't imagine you can see that line, that distance over there, the opposite. And obviously through the stadiometric range finding, it's the base of an isosceles triangle, which obviously gets halved when you imagine a right angled triangle. But then if you're going to put one of the points, either the base of the rod or the top measured rod, if you're going to put either of those as a non-geometric point, then you can't do the thing to establish the distance.
Yes, but they say that you can, because it is a terrestrial object, like a lighthouse. But the star, it is different somehow. So I call it special pleading fallacy. And they are accusing other people of special pleading fallacy, but they don't notice that they are committing the same fallacy with that star being non-geometrical point. They are making exemption for the star. So everything is obeying on the ground, as they say. I wouldn't say that the top of the lighthouse is on the ground, so it shouldn't obey terrestrial geometry, but they say it does. But somehow star doesn't. This is special pleading fallacy, and of course it is nonsense.
There's a guy in the chat says, listen to them attempt to talk themselves out of the earth being measured flat when it is actually being measured flat. Wow, a nice way to state that. I bet you can't tell us how, because nobody can. Just go to the beach and look at the horizon. Measure an angle to a light in the sky, right? You can't just measure an angle anywhere, really, I don't think. Or maybe you can, I don't know whether they've got all angles or flat earth measurements of flatness.
And we are waiting for this actual measurement, because he's saying about actually being measured flat. So actual means in fact. So that would be a historical fact, or many historical facts of measuring Earth flat.
It says the known distance between 2 points and the horizon being outside of the geometric constraints. Outside of the geometric constraints. Well, geometric constraints are entirely based upon pure logic. So anything outside of the constraints of pure logic is nonsense.
So now, so did I get this right? So now you've got not only the heavenly bodies are outside of the purview of geometry, but also the horizon?
The horizon, yeah. Apparently.
Huh.
Well, even though the plane of the horizon is horizontal, apparently no longer geometric considerations to be taken to the horizontality of the horizon, the plane of the horizon. Fantastic.
Can't be, because a plane is geometric, isn't it?
When the mountains are within the horizon, they are flat. I mean, I'm not too sure what's going on here. I mean, like, really? Come on.
Yeah, I had a back and forth with Oakley today, and he was talking about the apparent horizon, and I said, "Oh, but you've got some geometric function there to something that's apparent." So, you know,
Yes.
it's a conceptual imagination of this horizontal you're using with the sextant. You're conceptualizing the horizontal baseline for the angle. It's not a real thing. It's certainly not the surface. And now you're saying it's apparent, the horizon, so it's not geometric then. So how does that work? And I also asked him to verify, and he twisted it and went to his sister again on the boat, and that so you're saying, oh, she didn't do that. I never saw her do celestial navigation. What are you trying to say? That people have never done this celestial navigation? I said, oh, you keep talking over me and you're on your script. Keep going, keep going. And I said, that's not what I've asked you to verify. Because he said, this angle that the observer can get, that is the same as the one above in the aeroplane. He said, as far as we can ascertain. And I said, you know, can you verify that? Has that been verified? That an observer took an angle and the plane above them? I said, but it'd have to be a helicopter, I guess, to hover above that place and take the angle and make some comparisons. Has that ever done? Because you said ascertain, and I was just wondering if that had been verified. You say it, but it's just what you say, and what you say we can ascertain. Same as the celestials do not abide by our understanding of geometry, but are using geometry with it. So, but he didn't want to go there, and he just went on some rant about his sister. And I said, please don't say life saving. Please don't say life saving. And I was just wanting to know about that. When's that been done? You know, you say it, but has it been done? Has it been proven at all that's so? But yeah, he didn't want to go there.
Yeah, it's I can't see, right, just on the point of argumentation using logic, to throw away your geometric principles that you've used for the proof of flat Earth so readily that Nathan Oakley's done, and then to still say that it's your fault because you don't understand how he's thrown those geometric constraints out of the window. I don't know. I feel sorry for the flat earthers again. I came into this, just as a normal person, thinking these people are being misrepresented. And still, Nathan Oakley's making it so, well, he's giving them this stuff that's going to make them sound ridiculous to the outside world, right? These people that are going to get misrepresented as flat earthers are going to get labelled as people like Nathan Oakley. Because the guys that brought me into it by calling me a child abuser are going to call me a flat earther. Now, anybody listening to it is going to associate me with this fucking ridiculous shit that Nathan Oakley's talking about. And I've had to deal with conversations with people to, get out of that. I'm not saying what Nathan Oakley's saying. I'm not saying that ridiculous stuff that Brian's Logic's saying or QE. I'm not aggressive like that. I'm not saying any of those things yet. There are a group of people that will associate what I say with Nathan Oakley and say that Nathan Oakley says that. And I'll say, no, Nathan Oakley doesn't say what I say. We've made up arguments. These arguments state the Earth is not flat. Nathan Oakley doesn't say that. Yet, people are going to get misrepresented. So
yeah, I mean, in recent days. Oh, go on. Who's it? Are you going, Paper?
No, I'm just trying to answer this Aman like me. He's asking question, can you see a mountain when it is in the horizon? It is behind horizon, not in horizon, and it is just obscured. And by the way, sometimes you can see, for best example, I think, is this Canigou sunset. So if you can watch, please watch this Canigou sunset, so you would see a mountain over over 100 kilometers away from observer, and it is still visible as a shadow on the sun. So you can see mountains, and they are not flat. I can say that with confidence. They are not flat. They are not turning into flat because the horizon obscures them. So that's the first. And the second, he's saying something.
He's doubled, tripled down, Paper. So you might be unaware as to how something gets in the horizon, but he's saying it's whatever the it's is
everything
in the horizon.
Everything you can't see is in the horizon.
In
Quote.
everything you can't see.
No, it is not.
Can't see the stuff behind you. It's in the horizon.
In the horizon, for sure.
This is false statement, but he says also, if you measure flatness everywhere, then it's flat. You cannot measure flatness. Flatness is property of the surface. So you cannot measure property of the surface. Like you cannot measure walking. You can measure speed of walking. So you can measure the span of flatness, but you cannot measure flatness itself. It is just a ridiculous statement.
Sorry, Paper. I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at this guy. So he says, of course they aren't actually flat. They are I can't even know if I could say this without breaking up.
It means
they are flat within the horizon.
But he doesn't understand what word actually means. Actual means real. Not actual, not real. So if they aren't actually, so they are not.
The psychology, guys, the psychology of this, seriously, for someone to write these words, of course they aren't actually flat, comma, they are flat within the horizon. What is going on?
Yeah, this is very much like the skinny vet conversation we had the other day when, well, yeah, we've got valleys, we've got mountains, we've got divots, we've got things, we all know it's not flat, and it's measured flat, and and I keep saying, look, you said it yourselves. Nobody says it's flat. We all say it's a topographical plane. That's what you say. And yet you say you measured it flat, but you're saying, well, we only use that to describe it. Yeah, okay. What's the difference between that and what we're saying? You haven't measured it flat. It's not. So, yeah. But yeah, there's a Lumpy spoke to me today, and
go on, sorry,
and was talking about because they try to pin you to the horizon, and he said, is the try to pin me to the horizon being horizontal, and I said, well, yes, in the perspective of angular resolution of it, but if you go over there, it's going up and down like it is here in reality, So you conceptually can take. I don't know if this is correct thinking, but this was my argument. You can conceptually create a horizontal reference from there. But the surface over there, if you could possibly go to wherever you could see, if you could find out where that was, it's going up and down just like this is. So yeah, this argument that the surface you're on that's going up and down is flat and horizontal and can be observed everywhere where there's water. It just seems, it's I don't know, it's a crazy kind of argument. I know they think it's pedantic, but it's it's not even that.
What about this then, right? Everything you can't see is in the horizon, right? But also, they appear flat within the horizon, right? So the stuff you can't see that's within the horizon is flat, and it appears flat when you can't see them within the horizon. I mean, that's a flat Earth proof for you. Proof that the Earth's flat.
Almost like, hang on, paper. Almost like a certain other group of people might say verticals diverge from one another, but you just can't see it.
Exactly.
Almost like that. Similar.
Yeah.
It's weird how similar these things are between these.
I had that today.
They're not that, people. Yeah.
Yeah.
The contradiction is because he writes appear. So appear means that you can see. And then he's saying that these things that you cannot see, they appear. So he's predicating upon things which cannot be seen. This is impossibility. So sorry, I'm a man like me. It is just nonsense. It's pure contradiction. You cannot predicate upon things that you cannot see, and you cannot state that you can see things that you cannot see. So you just
I can't. This is what I love about you, paper. You said that with all the acumen of a university professor, and while it's true, it's ridiculous that you actually had to say that. Right? It's completely ridiculous that you actually had to say that, but you're of course 100% correct.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've come to just things that have come to me thinking about things in the last week or so, and I'll claim them as my original thought for me. Other people may know it and they've come to understand it. And nobody's put it there. It's just grown out of observing things, and so I claim them as my original thought in this moment. And it seems to me that looking at the flat Earth, that it incorporates a lot of globe information. That some things are thrown out. Well, the claim is that none of it's been measured, none of it can be true, and so I'd thought, well, okay, we'll put that to one side then. I won't consider those measurements in reality because they've been shown that they're doubtful, they have never been done. So let's put those to one side and try and see what comes of reality. But I noticed that some figures are possible to use in the flat Earth, and they cross over. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and he came up saying that the Earth was 197 million square miles, the flat Earth. And I said, well, where did you get that from? And he went on to say, it's been measured, and we all know, from. I said, well, that comes from the globe. That's the globe measurement. So you said it wasn't proven. It had never been measured. So how have you got that? And now you've transferred it to your model. And he said, it's 30. From the highest point to the lowest point on Earth is 13 miles. And I said, yeah, but I thought you chucked that out, same as I did. You said it hadn't been proven, but now you've got it. So how does that cross over? How do we get there? How do we get to this? The Earth is 70% water. I mean, you were told it was 70% water, but you've never proven it. You said it's never been proven, but you're incorporating it into your model. Oh, we don't claim a model. I said, but you do. You do by this imagery, by the figures you give, by the images you present.
Implies 100%. It's 70% of 100%.
Yeah. Now this guy is good at rhetoric. He's got a lot of vocabulary. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else. And I've heard him talk and thought, gee, he's got some long words, and he's puts things together. And at first I didn't realize I was talking to him, which is lucky in the sense of my mindset at the time. But then he said, well, he was obviously, he claimed he was in the military. So he said, we flew from America to Iraq, and we left the coast of Savannah in America, and we went north, we hugged the coast, we went over Canada. He said we had to go over land because most planes go over land because they have to have somewhere they can land in an emergency. He said we went over an arc. He said, I know we went over an arc. And I said, oh, you better be careful there. I said, if a glober hears that, he'll be asking you if it was the Great Circle route. You know, I mean, you're on the flat Earth after all. And he said, then we went over, I guess it was Greenland, and then we went via Ireland, Germany, Kuwait, Iraq. Now, they went alone with their personal weapons on the plane, and all the rest of the gear was taken by boat. And I was listening at the time. I didn't take it all in because I was trying to focus on this 197 million square miles. And but listening back to it, I got to there, and then it disappeared from the stream. I think they must have just cut it because it was a bit embarrassing. But so I don't know what the relationship was between the plane and the ship that took all the equipment. But from the plane, he had deduced, and he could confidently say, I can confidently say that on the journey he made, that the Earth is covered in 66.2%. He says, so not quite 70%. 66.2% is water. From a plane journey from America to Iraq, you know, it was just like astounding. And he's like one of the top 24/7 mods. I mean, I've heard him all over the place, you know, at Oakley's, you know, calling the shots and being the loudest voice in the room. So, you know, it occurred to me that there's a lot of globe facts that are possible to use in this flat Earth. And so I'd gone to Oakley yesterday, and I said, oh, I wonder if you can point out to me where, if there's a resource in FED somewhere that can point to maybe a list of globe data that you can incorporate into the flat Earth. It was okay to use that number, that observation or scientific experiment or whatever, but not this other stuff. Don't use that, but you're okay to use this. So, because it seems more to me you're reifying the globe and calling it flat. And you just got the globe and squashed it flat. And because Brian's logic said he is working on a new map. And he has got a phase 1 of it. When I looked at that, it looks like Dave Weiss's moon and sun clock app. It's pretty much like that. It's circular. It's got an ice wall or ice at the edges. And so I thought, well, so that's centric. So how does that line up with the cardinal directions being perpendicular to each other? And I'd asked them, well, I had asked them a couple of days ago, but previous to that, and I'm the thorn in their side, I think, but who was it in history who placed Polaris as a ground position on the Earth? Who had done that? You know, that it was proven that it's there and there is a place where you can stand, look up, little sign with a little hand pointing up saying Polaris. You know, has that ever been done? And they said no, they didn't know. And I said, and then they claimed, well, you're making the claim. How can you prove it? I said, well, I've never heard it. I was just asking you if you had proof of it, because then maybe I could understand the next steps to how you're claiming that the flat Earth is also central to this point. It centers around here because it's centric. And the latitude and, you know, the latitude lines are converging to the center, and the longitude lines are going around in a circle. So I was asking the question, well, if I go east and I'm perpendicular to north, then you're saying I'm going in a circle when I'm walking in a straight line. So how can that be? And Brian had some convoluted stuff that try to confuse me about. And then he accused me that he said, I know where you got this from. I know where this is. This is, you've been brainwashed by Bev. You don't have any original thoughts.
He sounds like he's been brainwashed by Jared.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I said, well, you've listened to 10th Man. You've listened to QE. You listened to Oakley, so which ones of your thoughts are original? I mean, we all hear stuff from all sorts of places, not to do with necessarily anything to do with this subject at all. The things you hear and, all that stuff about the princess or whatever, how much of that is true? What do we know? What would you know? So that, you might carry around some ideas and you're influenced by it, so you hear all sorts. So you couldn't really say that you're being brainwashed by somebody. I mean, not in a concerted way. I mean, maybe that's going on from the media. Maybe that is the plan. But yeah, in this noise, this is for me. It's a developing kind of image I'm getting. That I'm painting little bits in, and Gary just painted a little bit more in for me. What he said, and added to my armory of questions, if you like, or an image that I'm thinking about in reality, or how this story I'm told, because I'm being presented with another version of reality that I must conform to. If I don't conform to it, then I am under somebody's spell, some Bengali, some Charles Manson character, or I'm just told to, shut the fuck up. Get him out of here, kick him out, moron.
I've heard a lot of that recently. There's a lot of people calling for other people to be struck from here, mute him, stop him from talking, get him out of here.
Yeah, we've all seen that in society. Come on. The last few years, we've seen all those people that, you went to for some answer, some expert, and then they say, correlations, causation, what's that? Anyway, never mind. I forgot what it was. Correlation's not causation. and try and, put you off from going to seek knowledge from experts in their field, and then they silence them, and then they delete them, and then anything you say that's linked to them, they say you're a conspiracy theorist, And this is the same thing that's going on, and this is what I've been trying to point out to them. You are just another system, shutting people down, silencing questions, and a group. I mean, there is a group of people in various platforms that work together to do this, and that's obvious to me. So yeah, so that was my trying to work out how this flat Earth model that nobody claims, but they present everybody with images, facts, figures, and that builds a picture in your mind. They'll tell you, no, we never said that. We never said that, but go and watch a Dave Weiss, any one of his, and it's full of stuff that will paint something in your mind, and it replaces. It's just as powerful as the stuff, the Globe Mobile above your bed when you're a child, or the stuff in school, and just a few bits of information dropped in here and there, and it just sits in you. And this feels to me like it's just a replacement. And it's quite hard to try and be incisive in your mind about what you hear and what you take on, and that's I'm trying to sharpen that within myself. And so Brian was trying to hold me to this cardinal directions, and that was a lie. That the cardinal directions weren't perpendicular, and that they go around in a circle. And so today I was saying, well, he wanted to get back to that. Yesterday he told everybody he totally rebutted me and crushed me on that, and he knew where I got my stuff from, and it wasn't true. And yet that was the first thing he wanted to jump on today. I thought it wasn't to go over it. He wanted more. So I thought, well, he's obviously not beat me then at whatever he thought he had to beat me at. And I wasn't. They were just talking about me. I was listening, and they were talking about me and bringing me up, and I thought, I won't engage. I just won't. But then, I did, and then it got carried away a bit. And I was saying that when they, from my understanding, when they mapped the UK, for instance, they did it with triangulation. It seemed a really intricate kind of job where they had to, be using chains. They had to elevate the rods and the chains because obviously the Earth isn't flat. So in order to triangulate, they've got to be above the surface to form these triangles and then form a grid. Northings and eastings, and they, from what I understood it, they followed the cardinal directions, and that was replicated on the Ordnance Survey map, that scale. And if you look at the map in the top right corner, there's a little compass maybe, or there's an arrow that says
You are breaking. You are breaking.
It's not just me. Yeah.
Let me
robot
just do something.
But still, I have quotation for Kevin because I am stating absurds, of course, and they are ridiculous. Yes, and Aristotle is doing the same.
Oh yes, no, I don't get me wrong, Paper. I'm not saying you shouldn't have done it. I'm saying it's amazing that you had to for this person, because it's crazy.
I would say that the purpose is didactic. So
yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Yes.
If I may, I have one example from Aristotle. Thus, the contradictory of the proposition man is man is not man is. And the contradictory of man is white is man is not white, not man is not white. For otherwise, since either the positive or negative proposition is true of any subject, it will turn out true to say that a piece of wood is a man that is not white.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think, an honest question, I mean, we can't know, right? But do you think that the ancient Greeks laughed their asses off like this because they had to, right? When they saw the ridiculousness of this stuff. I mean,
the
it would
only
have
reason
to
they
lead to comedy
had
and
to
humor.
write it was because people were not understanding it.
Yeah.
If it was common knowledge and you didn't have to write this stuff, then you wouldn't have to write this stuff. So they must have gone through a similar sort of process that we're going through now. And I find it fascinating, right? This room is called the Symposium. Now, I've been going out into these other rooms to listen, to just take it in. And to me, it's all nonsense. Nobody stops to think about how what they're saying is being presented and, whether other people are taking it on. It seems like people are just lost in their own imagination and they just talk. Whether people listen, I don't know. I don't know who's taking it on. Like, I know a man like me, right? He's obviously took this on from somewhere, and that's caused him to say it, to repeat it. It's a paralogism he's taken on. But I don't know where he's got it from. He's assumed it. He's placed it within his schema. He's reasoned that for himself, and that shows why those ancient Greeks had to write that stuff down. But it's still too much to process for modern day people, I think. To go back to those first principles of just basic reasoning.
Also, when he was writing this for didactic purposes, but also sophists knew that. So one of the method of sophistry is to force opponent to say contradiction and then laugh at opponent, because people will laugh at him. So this is one of means of sophistry, let's say, to force or to force or in smart way that he is
trick-
not
trick
aware
them.
that he is going into contradiction, but he will land in contradiction, and then we can all laugh at this stupid guy. So
Yeah.
this, so they knew the thing. Absolutely.
This is exactly that. In this is that, you know, like today I was thinking on my feet, and you know, the picture was extended. I didn't have this picture at the beginning of the conversation, but as I was working through it and thinking about it and thinking about the responses, that was always there. There was always somebody trying to go off in another direction to trap me in some place that they could then all laugh at me and say how stupid I was and claim victory. And I was only just trying to test this stuff. And yeah, so yeah, that goes on. That's probably one of the most common acts that goes on, really.
Not only that, but their audience, very often, they are paying for that. So if you are invited to Troll's Cave, I call it Troll's Cave, they will force you to make ridiculous statements, and they will be paid for that in super chats. So this is just sophistry, paid sophistry.
Guys, I guess it's a bit like a boxing match or a UFC, you know. People are just cheering on from the sidelines with their popcorn and throwing food at the fighters or whatever. It's, you know, or the amphitheater and the Christians and the lions or whatever. It's gone on, but you know, this is a very similar thing, and yeah, the people in the audience, they don't. I think, well, the people who are talking don't seem to know what they're talking about, but so the people in the audience are maybe 2 or 3 steps removed, and they're just, you know, cheering for their particular champion and don't understand exactly. They don't have to understand. Our champion won today, or, you know, at least in our perception, they won. Oh, they beat a Glober. You know, they flat smacked some guy. Woohoo! You know, did you see that one? Did you tune in? And they're under the impression that goes on, and particularly in Oakley's thing, because he is producing his show as he goes along. He wants he wants to control the conversation because he is producing a live stream and he's constantly thinking about his output. So if something starts to go astray, he doesn't want the audience to think about. He talks over that person. His mechanical electronic noise gate kicks in. It cuts out your voice, and he knows that his audience is now only going to hear him. No matter what you think, and if you're not watching the mic, you don't realize you've been muted. You're carrying on talking, and nobody hears that. So he is working on that at the same time. So the impression that people get from the live is not reality. You know, it's a stage managed event. And I'm becoming to, you know, be more aware of that as I'm speaking. And sometimes he says, oh, I can see his light flashing, so he's talking right through me. Yeah, I am. I'm talking to the people in the Discord saying, do you listen to this joker? And you're actually standing around here. Do you see the game he's playing, or, you know, talking to him? So, you know, they can hear it. And then in the after show that he'll produce, he'll cut that and edit the bits out that are embarrassing or don't fit his narrative. So it's all a production, and so trying to work your way through there is quite difficult. It was today. It was Brian wanted to pin me down. I think Oakley thought, well, let's let them two have a go. And he tried to keep people out and moderate it, and it was pretty calm for a bit. We were talking about. I was talking about how the land had been measured and mapped, you know, originally 1700s or whatever, and how those triangles became curved, how they then became somewhere related to this polar centric idea. You know, where did that happen? And Brian was going on about the transverse Mercator map and wrapping it around the cylinder and this and that. And I said, yeah, but they weren't working off those maps. They weren't looking at a map and saying, right, this is the map and this is the triangle we must make fit on this map. This was the map. This is what they were doing. They were making a map. They were marking it out. And people, in those times, they needed to know, where people were going, because for, people who were coming to try and attack them and stuff, they needed to know for their military maps and whatever. And, as people were moving around more, they need some accurate reference to travel by. So, they weren't working off the transverse Mercator map. They were making, as I understand it, they were using triangulation and they made a grid pattern. So I was trying to understand how that had become circles. And he said they're locally, I had to say they're locally perpendicular. And I said, well, I've heard that before. So that sounds like the globe to me. It looks straight up close, but believe me, that straight line curves. So this sounds very much the same thing. And he went off on long historic waffle, and I said, all you've said is where the magic has gone on. Somebody did something, they measured something, they made a grid, they used a triangulation, but somewhere in between that, it's all been changed and some magic has happened, and that's what I'm interested in. Where did that happen? Where did they turn this perpendicular grid structure into a polar centric one? When did that happen? How did that happen? And why is it reality? Because that's this map that Brian's bringing, and the flat earth they talk about, is saying this is reality. This is reality. That it's polar centric, and the longitudinal lines are circular around the center of the North Pole. And so I said, well, all right, okay, well, if I'm facing north, say I'm facing north, and then I turn 90 degrees to what would be west, and then Nathan Oakley jumped in and said, no, Brian, no, don't go here. I'm warning you, don't go here. I know where he's going with it. And I said, what are you jumped in for? What are you worried about? You've obviously got some little thing that you're worried I'm going to find to the truth about. Is that what it is? And he argued that at that point that if I turned through 90 degrees, I couldn't say that was 90 degrees because the longitude was a curve. I said, well, I never use a compass or anything. I just looked that way that was north, turned this way 90 degrees through the point I'm on, and I was going to head in a straight line from there. And he had to drop it because Brian said, no, you're talking over me. And okay, then he said, well, on your own head be it. And where I was going with that was, well, and then said, well, right, so if I walk east, how far do I go before that straight line is not a straight line anymore? How far would I have to go before it deviates from that straight line and becomes a curve? Like you say, that's what's going to happen. And again, Oakley jumped in. They didn't really want to go there, because I thought in my head at that point, well, if I was going east and then you had a parallel to that, you should be able to measure this deviation. Surely, I guess it falls into it, because as much as they talk about verticals not being parallel and diverging verticals on a globe, then on this centric latitude, they must also diverge from perpendicular. So I wondered, I was going to go and see, well, can you tell me what the equation is for that? Because if there's a drop over distance that's said to be 8 inches per mile square, there must be a similar equation that would calculate that deviation from the straight line that I thought I was going in when I was going east. I never got to the place, well, now can you explain that I'm going east, but now I'm going south? How did that happen? Because at some point, according to the flat earth, if I go east, I'm going south eventually. We didn't get to there. And I kept going back to the original mapping of the UK. And I said, well, hang on. This came to me thinking about it just in the moment, original thought. I said, well, before they mapped the land, they navigated. There were ships navigating. There were astronomers, they supposedly the pyramids are positioned in a cardinal direction, so they were aware of this perpendicularity and these directions. I said, so they were, there was astronomy going on, and there was navigation. So they must have been aware then, if this is reality, that it was polar centric. So why did they measure triangles and a grid if that doesn't exist? Why would they do that and then put that on the map as a grid if they knew that it was circular? And then how would they get that if it was circular? How can they have got those? So how did those guys triangulate the Earth when it was actually those lines were circular and you can't get an angle to a curve? And it was kind of a, wasn't totally thought out kind of idea, but these things were coming to me as I was thinking on my feet, and and we got into shouting matches, and then QE came in and called me a crayon muncher, and it went off in other directions from there. They tried to, I was talking about the idea that the person who is taking an elevation angle on the ground or on the boat, generally they're on the boat, say that if you're 10,000 feet above in an aeroplane, you're getting the same angle. And I said, can you verify that? Because Nathan has said before that, as far as we can ascertain, that is so. So that didn't sound like proof to me. So that's what made me ask, well, can you verify that? Has anybody verified that? Because I imagine if somebody's on the ground, you couldn't do it with a plane, you need a helicopter, something to hover above you so that you could, compare your angles, whatever. Has that ever been done? Because you did say ascertain. So, but he immediately switched it and says, what do you mean? You denying people do celestial navigation? Are you denying I was on a boat with my sister and she had to do a celestial navigation course and they had 2 boats? He even gave the name of the boat, Willy Wisp or something. And I said, whoa, no, that's not what I'm saying. I didn't ask for that verification, but he just wanted to keep there and make out that I was lying. And it did become a bit crazy, but I was just thinking on my feet, and I'm not. And Brian, wanted me to concede, and I said no, I don't concede because it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm not going to say that I have followed your thought and take on your thought because it's not fully formed in me, so I don't want it. I don't. I may come to that, but I don't know. But that's not where I am. I'm not going to take that. Later on in the conversations, when they got to measuring the Earth flat, when QE was trying to obfuscate the whole thing and just abusive from the background. He was just so abusive, him and Oakley. And I said to QE, I swore at him, but sit down, shut up. It's got nothing to do with you. What are you jumping in here for? The way you talk to me, if you talk to me like that, in my mind, there are no rules. You have, that's how I feel. Right? If you want to be that way, don't hold me to any rules. Everything's fair. I won't respect any rules you want to lay down and say I have to be bound by, fallacies or anything. I just all is fair in love and war. If you talk to me, okay, we can have a conversation about it. If you're just gonna swear at me and call me a crayon muncher, booger eater or something, no way. I said, and it goes for you, Oakley. No respect. If you talk to me like that, all gloves are off, man. So don't expect me to, not talk over you or anything. But I did say, well, when they got to how was the Earth measured flat, and I said, well, I'm with Brian. I'm with Brian and Lumpy. That's who I agree with. They have influenced my thinking, and Brian will not say the Earth is measured flat because you can't measure a description. And Lumpy agrees with me that the Earth is not the reference. You need a reference to measure from. And he argues that, and he got involved a bit, and they shouted at him, and he sounded really hurt, and off he went. Brian claimed that I was lying, that I was saying that he didn't say this and didn't say that, and I kept clearly saying, no, I said that you said you cannot, flat as a description, you can't measure it, and you won't say the Earth is measured flat. You're a liar, you're a liar. I said, well, go on then, say it. Say the Earth is measured flat. Oh, you're a liar. Say it. Say the Earth is measured flat then. And he won't. And then I was shut down, and he had to explain to somebody else who hadn't heard that. He then explained that he wasn't in agreement with Nathan, that the Earth was measured flat. But it was a Nathan show, and his pulpit, and he can preach from there, and he won't challenge the preacher in his own house. And he didn't say preacher, but that goes along with another conversation I heard when they were talking about the Bible and scripture and false prophets, and it aligned with that in my mind. Well, yeah, they aren't going to question the preacher. They aren't going to come to his house and tell him he's wrong, but they'll go to somebody else's house. They'll preach and tell the other people to shut up, as they do in Earth Awakening. So yeah, it was eventful afternoon, really. Yeah, I still see that the globe is incorporated, and I'm not sure quite where or how they got this stuff from, because as said to Brian, well, Polaris hasn't been verified to be above any position on Earth, on the globe. You agreed with that the other day. You didn't know when that had been done, or if it had ever been done. I said, nobody's done that for the flat Earth too, but somewhere you have a center. Around that goes these circles, and it sounds very much like the globe to me. Then they got onto water and said that water seeks its own level, and we can see water lying perfectly horizontal. And I said, well, where can I observe that in nature? They said you can see it in nature. Where can you see that then? Where is it? Because it's not the sea. We know it's not the sea, because the sea is constantly moving. And eventually QE came up with a picture of a mirror lake. So they said, are you disagreeing that that's flat? And said, well, it's just a picture. Do I know? What can I say about that picture? It's just a picture. We photoshopped, it looks shiny. I can't measure it. How did you measure it? Kept asking me how I would measure it. I said, well, I measured it with my eye. Brian said that he came in on a plane and he looked down at some water and it looked perfectly flat. I said, oh, great. So, and then he asked me, how would you measure it? I said, I measured it from a plane like Brian did. I used my eyes and I looked at the picture and measured it like that. I mean, that seems valid. You're using it, so I am too. And it just got a bit ridiculous. How do you measure an image? I dropped it in the chat. Well, how did you do it? You're laughing at me like Paper was saying. Oh, let's all laugh at him because Brian said I was a liar and I wouldn't concede that water was flat and level and horizontal. A picture. And I said all day, if a glober came to you with a picture of the blue marble and said, this is, here's proof. Here's the proof. You'd laugh at him. You'd throw it out. Any image they brought. And now you're presenting me with the same idea and asking me to concede that picture proves something that I couldn't say it proved, and it certainly wasn't in my observation. It wasn't something I'd seen. And then Nathan said, "Well, what about the guy who took the photograph? How did he measure it?" I said, "Well, certainly not with the camera. I don't suppose he was interested. He just took a nice picture, took a picture, photoshopped it, made it look better." Yeah. So yeah, sorry for that rambling. If you even heard me, I don't know. I'm just wondering now whether.
Well,
to myself.
Through all of that, I guess. It's
and I'm open for criticism.
Yeah.
You didn't. That wasn't. Whatever. Because I'm just learning.
Yeah, well, I'm still trying to process, because a man like me's also said now, you look in the live chat, the horizon isn't geometric. So grabbing hold of this sextant and measuring an angle from the horizon, non-geometric point, to a light in the sky, another non-geometric point.
Yeah.
But the angle is definitely geometric,
So
as defined within Euclid. So, I mean,
that's where I was going. Can we then safely say that the FED gang is advocating for non-Euclidean geometry? Is that where we're at now?
I don't know how you can relate the geometric angle to these non-geometric points that they seem to have. I mean, who has told people that these angles that they're using come from measuring non-geometric point to non-geometric point? And what even is a non-geometric point? I mean,
it is vaguely reminiscent, though, of spherical triangles in a way.
Well, yeah, in a way. But, I mean, a man like me seems completely unaware of the conversation we had with Nathan Oakley about 4 years ago, maybe even longer than that, where Nathan Oakley actually agreed that the horizon being horizontal is entirely geometric.
Yes.
I mean, he said that he got so used to arguing with people about something completely different that he'd forgotten about the base understanding of this geometric properties that they're using. But he seems to have forgotten about that again. And a man like me has actually picked up this understanding that Nathan Oakley's got, that he seems to have forgotten. And now he thinks that the horizon is not geometric, when that's about the only thing that you can state. The plane of the horizon is horizontal, entirely geometric. We base all of our things upon that sort of reasoning. So for him to call it non-geometric means it takes it out of the understanding of logic.
At the same time, talking about parallels as well today, didn't he?
Yeah. The sky
He talked about parallels. Yeah.
I mean, what's that?
Yeah.
Well, they talk about the celestial dome. Now, how can the celestial dome be parallel? What's Nathan Oakley talking about? It just doesn't make any sense.
I've asked him that a few times, and I dropped in some things to QE. Where is the container? And he then wanted to try and get me on gas pressure, and I said, don't argue that. I don't go there. It's a nut argument. Nobody can answer this. It just is. Whatever it is, it just is. I don't go there. It's not something I'm interested in talking about. I said, what I was meaning was in reference to this celestial sphere that you claim, but a parallel sky. How are you getting an angle to a curve up there, but not down here? How did you measure the sky flat? How does that work? Yeah. So if it's parallel and there's because they say there's a triangle on top of a triangle in celestial navigations.
It can't be.
No.
He can't have that light in the sky. He can't have that angle staying the same no matter how high you rise, and then stating parallel skies.
Yeah. But again and again, when you look at the images in FED in the chat from the supposed geometric gurus over there, they are showing triangles. They're showing this rectangle. And so my logical question was, is the container square or rectangular? If the celestials are parallel, it can't be a dome then, can it? And if it's a dome, how can they be parallel? How did you know that if they're so far away and they're non-geometric? How does that work? And and then they slipped to what Paper was talking about earlier. Try and find something for the room to laugh at. And after I left, they were all high-fiving in the chat and in the talk. Oh God, it was great. I was waiting for that. Whatever you talk, that was a totally different thing that I heard. But, yeah.
Yeah, well, they imagine that there's some sort of a win in this. I mean, I think we said ages ago, there is no win and lose within these conversations because everybody's meant to gain in knowledge. That, you know, like it's not a win-lose situation and you destroyed him with all of that sort of stuff. But that's what happens. They take on this combative position where they assume that everybody's either, you know, like the false dichotomy. You're just, if you don't agree with the person, then you're on the other side. And since these people are in this arena where the false dichotomy is all, they can't just take a question as a question. They have to assume it's a challenge upon their model that they don't actually have, yet seem to get so defensive about people asking them questions.
Yeah, I guess if you're not in, if you're not in their team, you must be in the other team. And if you're not in the other team, you must be in the special pleading group, I think, where they can put you over there and, you're a Bev Earther. That seems to be the other group. I don't hear other groups going on, as Glober, Flat Earther, Bev Earther. That's all I've heard.
You've got Dell as well, haven't you?
Yeah, but I don't hear that. I don't. Maybe I'm in the wrong place. I don't go to Dell, so I don't hear people chanting against him or challenging him. Whatever. It's not something that attracted me. But yeah, in this arena that we've been hanging around in, and I have been trying to go on my own. I have. I say, okay, I don't have to be with Bev or anything. I mean, it coincides from time to time that we're in 24/7 at the same time, and then they group us together. But I've been going off on my own. I've been to Oakley's, a few times. I'm not with Bev. Bev didn't tell me to go there. We didn't sit here and have a plan. Right, this is what you need to say. Have you got it? Now just go over that again. So you got it right. And yet none of that's happened. Nobody's saying go over there and have a go at them or anything. I just went there on my own. And, some days the old adrenaline's pumping. And I've got this question in my head and thinking, should I go now? Should I do it? And there's an adrenaline that happens, like with a lot of things. And then I ask a question and the adrenaline goes, and then I have to settle down and think about what's going on, respond to the, or work out the response I've got, because it never goes the way I thought it might in my head. I thought it was going to go logically one way or another, but it doesn't. I'm either shut down or abused, or voices from the background, kick him out, Neil. And that was a great one today. He was in there, and I jumped on the mic and says, yeah, QE, I really love that elder bear. and Neil said, who said that? Who said that? Who was that? and then, it's elder bear. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, there's some amusement in it, and that for me, it's like, getting to relax a bit more in it, and that kind of stuff that is me, in general, that I might do in the supermarket or anywhere else and talk to people and just come out with some narrative. I did it today, and my daughter said, they probably think you're crazy. I said, yeah, but their life must feel a bit different than the normal today now, because I asked them about what they did in their life, and how many hours have you done this for? And she said, well, I'm studying as well. Or what are you studying? Classics. I said, oh really? What stuff? Plato and stuff like that. Yeah, she said. Well, we got in this conversation about this young girl on Tesco's checkout was doing the classics, languages and Greek, and and so we engaged on a level she probably wouldn't engage with anybody else in there. Oh, there was somebody came by and had an idea about what I have an idea about. And I said, oh, make sure you look at the allegory of the cave. I said, because you'll then have a look around here while you're working and see how it applies.
Yeah.
And she said, oh yeah, I'll have a look. I said, I'm sure you'll come to it, but have a look at that. yeah, so that was great, you know. But yeah, and that's just generally what I do from place to place and talk random
so
things to random
this
people.
sort of conversation and these conversations do definitely apply to the real world. That, you know, like just the basic logic. Now, the flat Earth and the globe Earth is just divisive conversation like that. I've never been able to use any of that without finding some sort of animosity or causing a tension, let's say, within those conversations. Yet there are ways that you can talk to people about this sort of aspect of what we go through here.
Yeah, last night in QE's stream, I mean, he was going over when Oakley was over at Earth Awakenings with Whitsitt, and they were going over that and attacking Whitsitt and calling him all sorts of names, you know, and they were getting really hyper about it. And I was listening and thinking, oh, this is, you know, it's just like some big ego battle, who can piss up the wall higher kind of thing. You know, we have to put this guy down because we you know, it was like gangs, you know, carving up territory.
Emma calls it a sausage fest. And I think
sausage
that would
fest,
be one of the best ways of explaining what was going on last night.
Yeah, and I was listening, and I didn't have any plan, but I just sort of opened my mic and said, you guys are just, you know, doing a great job at creating this division in this community. Well done. You're doing a great job. And then refractive curvature wanted to turn that. Yeah. No, they all shouted at me, get him out of here, get him out of here. And then refractive, or Adam Meakin, that was it, and said, oh, no, I agree. Yes, you know, we have to point out when people are giving wrong information. And thank you, Elder Bear. Thank you for that. Tried to turn it round. And then Neil was saying, yeah, but he aimed it at us. And I came back and said, yeah, I'm aiming at you. You know, you lot. You're, you know, and QE, get him out of here. Kick him out. Yeah, piss off. And when you pissed off, piss off a little further. Thanks, QE. So I was that was the end of my possibility. Silenced, you know, and then when I pointed it out in the chat, you know, the division that was going on, is this really what you want? Do you think this is good? You know, is this going? You know, and they said, oh, you're being divisive, pointing out we're being divisive. Okay. But yeah, I don't know how it furthers anything. It just seems to me just a bit, you know, these kind of leadership battles or battling for sales territory kind of thing, you know. Let's go and smash all their windows, you know. Or
amazing. I mean,
yeah.
Did you watch
it's
it?
incredible how quickly. That's the boss?
Yeah, the boss.
Uh-oh.
Incredible job. Amazing.
Is that a hot mic or are you talking to Elder Bear?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got him. I got him. I'll chat him and
okay.
let him know.
Yeah.
He might have been talking about Elder Bear last night.
Yeah, well, I was either that or he was happy I sold those Apple shares.
Yeah. Mike's asking in the chat, right? Yeah. If anybody's listening to us now, right, go back and not right now, but go back and listen to QE's show from last night. It is amazing to see the divisive properties of the Flat Earth debate crew and what they're doing to Flat Earth in general. I'd say it's the work of the Flat Earth Society, because they don't want Flat Earthers coming together at all. They want everyone in little tiny groups all fighting with each other, and it's being led by people like Nathan Oakley and QE, Adam Meakin. It's a battle for the Flat Earth heroes, and yeah, you just don't want to be involved in it. I don't anyway. But I thought last night, listening to that, the whole thing, where how they picked out different arguments and how they wanted to take control of it, and how they were talking about the other people within this arena rather than just trying to communicate, talk to each other. They're just causing division.
They're teaching division as well. You know, they are teaching in that manner. Then the followers talk to everybody else like that. They certainly talk to me like that. Whatever I might, I might have said something in some room and Oakley wasn't there, Kiwi or anybody. And immediately I said, they just jump on me and attack me. I said, well, stop with the Nathan bullshit. He taught you that. I was just talking about what this guy and asking a question about something. But, you've been trained to attack and, divide and conquer. I don't know who wants, who it is wants to conquer what. But that's what I see, a lot of division and people fighting against each other, just like the society that supposedly I thought people were trying to make something new, in a sense, and turn away from that. Let's find some truth. Let's find something where we could all live together. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. I kind of, when I was naive and younger, I kind of thought I would see it and it would happen, and we'd live in this nirvana. No borders, no passports. That's where I belong. No borders, no passports. Go where you want. Don't hurt anybody. They don't hurt you. We'll all just have experiences, and I don't want your stuff. Don't take my stuff. What is mine is yours and mine, and never a second thought of sharing. Let's just all do whatever needs to be done. That's what I was hoping for. But, you need a hell of a lot of people to want the same thing. That doesn't look like it's happening. So, I think, but just, hang about on my own. And, or you find, some like-minded people, and then you get accused of being brainwashed or being influenced by somebody else's thinking, because you find a place where you can share some thoughts and say, yeah, did you see that? What happened? Yeah. And, you can come to some common understanding, common ideas, common feelings, and still be individual, and nobody's pulling rank. Nobody's saying you must think what I think or you can't, leave. Don't hang around here if you don't follow what we say, that kind of thing. So, and that's why I'm here, right where I am at the moment, in this server. I find, some peace, and nobody's pulling rank on me or telling me I'm wrong or right, and I'll accept criticism and saying, have you thought about, da da da, and it's not necessarily saying, well, you were wrong, and this is where you were wrong. You see over there, where you da 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 da, and something, and you take into a place and left with this thought and think, okay. And then some things, that somebody might point out and show me an image of, and I look at and I think, no, still didn't make any sense. I'll keep it there, and maybe it'll click one day and I'll go, wow. Wow. Just like Gary said earlier, some little bits clicked in me and filled in some little gaps. So, I thought, I wasn't looking in that direction. I was looking up at the sky like they was telling me to. I wasn't thinking about these other aspects. So anyway, carry on.
Yeah, if I could just break in, because Gord's sent a super chat.
Oh yeah. It's measured flat, and we know this because I have claimed it so for now 60 plus shows. Yeah. That is one of the strange things. I think Elder Bear was following that, right? Particularly, I wouldn't have noticed it, but Elder Bear's the guy that's pointed out that Nathan Oakley has said that for 10 years, he said it like recently, like at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
He said for 10 years he had nothing. He was angry. He was frustrated because he didn't really have anything to do with the flat Earth. But at the beginning of this year, he decided to just get rid of all of his belief of flat Earth and just start saying that the Earth's measured flat with no proof, no reasoning, no statement of why he came to just say that the Earth is measured flat, other than this is his year. This is what he's doing. I don't know what's going on. He doesn't seem to be able to answer any questions as to why he said it either. I mean, I did notice it at the beginning of the year.
But we've progressed now in
times.
yeah, we progressed now in this 60 days or so, or almost 90 days, I guess, since the first of the year, to where now geometry isn't, or geometrical things aren't geometrical anymore. Things in reality, things in Euclidean 3 space are no longer geometric.
Yeah,
that's what's happened in less than 90 days.
Yeah, as if this mathematical aspect of what we're talking about and logic wasn't confusing enough for people to start off with.
Yeah.
Now you've got Nathan Oakley stating ridiculous things that are just contrary to what he has been saying. I can't see where the progression
can I just add,
goes.
When I had a chat with him the other week about celestial navigation before his for like his last show or whatever, I talked about celestial navigation with him, and he kind of threw that whole. I put him with a dilemma. It's either a spherical sky or a celestial sphere. Which one do you believe in, or is it a flat sky? And now he rolls with the whole parallel sky because he knows it has to be, right. It has to be for the flat Earth celestial navigation in a way, for the zeniths to be perpendicular to the surface above you for it even to work. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it's
How
Brian's
he's
logic.
changed his rhetoric to kind of.
Brian's logic has two triangles that he places on top of each other to form a rectangle. And I think that's the reason that Nathan's put parallel skies. To be honest, but I mean, it's hard work to ask
Plus, it has
questions.
To be and I've basically it seems that Nathan's gone off the track of the common idea of like a celestial dome or a dome in a way, like, and how that is kind of straying away from that because he knows it can't work if the ground's flat and the sky's a convex dome, or a concave dome from the inside. Anyway, and it seems that they're trying to rejig the whole shtick, to try and not come up with these problems.
It's not now. I have heard 10th man talking about that to create that box, because they call it box, you need to assume that the height of the stars has to be equal. So that would be denial
exactly.
of a spherical dome, whatever. So
exactly, that's the point, man.
Yeah, so that's 10th man. 10th man was talking about that like 4 years ago or so. So it's not new. They just returned to that point. But this is not.
And he always jumps back to the so if I rise in elevation, the elevation angle to the stars doesn't change, which kind of baffles him a little bit. But the globe has a reason, right? It's because the parallel lights and in like a really far distance of light. So they need to work around that. I think they need to work on that that idea behind that.
Well, it's going to go round and round in circles with the globe guys, isn't it? The flat earthers and the globe earthers. Because now Nathan Oakley can't have the light in the sky being geometric, yet he has a parallel sky, which is definitely geometric. He's just going to end up confusing anybody that listens to him.
Yeah, the only dome he'd adhere to would be the dome of perspective, and that's how he explains it away, essentially.
Yes, but now this spherical dome is not geometrical anymore. So that's the problem. Because and they say at the same time they say, because of course it is perspective. But so they say now that perspective doesn't obey geometrical principles. So it is going to a mess, complete mess, at least for me.
So I even asked, does he believe that half of the celestial sphere is underneath the Earth, like on this flat horizontal plane? And like that's the only answer they can give, right? That's the way it'd be perceived, right? It'd be like a stellarium, essentially, the way that math works.
They've laughed at me when I said, well, if you have this flat baseline, so there's stuff built on this flat baseline and stuff hanging off the bottom of it. That's a simplistic idea. But, if there's somewhere this flat baseline, then, what's happening? I'm trying to imagine, what that is. There's something on top and something that hangs beneath it.
It's parallel.
Yeah, but where's the parallel at the bottom of it all? And now it's centric, polar centric. I asked them today. I said, so it's obviously a circular flat Earth then. It's got a center. What's the radius of the flat Earth then in your model, Brian? It wouldn't be 3959, would it?
They are inconsistent because at the same time they are accusing globers that they are turning a celestial sphere into globe surface, and they are using this. They call it equatorial plane as base of angle measurement, and the celestial dome, which is this protractor. The globers turn into spherical surface of the Earth.
Northern hemisphere.
But at the same time, they deny that this protractor, this celestial dome, is spherical, because they claim that distance to the star, the height of the stars are the same. So it would negate this spherical dome. That's why I say it is a mess. It's a complete mess.
Yeah, thank you, Paper. You give me another question to ask. They'll love me.
You don't even step on how big the distance of the tropics of Capricorn and the tropic of Cancer are. They don't mention that, the fact that they are the same, essentially.
No, I didn't have that in discussion. So, what's the point of this distance to the tropics? They are making some argument about this distance to the tropics.
I've never.
The distance on the surface of the Earth. Yeah, whatever the shape would be, because when they say they circumnavigate, for example, they say they just go east and it's polar centric, right? So the 90 degrees and the bearing is east, say they go around in a circle, right? But then that circle is a wider circle the further south they go in their eyes. But in reality, it's equidistant. It's the same as the Capricorn is the same as Cancer. This circle or whatever.
It's one of the contradictions that if east, west, and north and south are perpendicular to each other, then one of those lines that's perpendicular cannot be a circle. Yet you've heard Nathan Oakley. You can't get an angle from a curved line. Yeah. North, south, east, and west are 90 degrees from each other. Yet they want to have one of them as being a circle. Now, I don't think I've ever heard Nathan say that east and west are just different directions around a circle. It's the same circle, just opposite ways around, rather than actually being cardinal directions. I don't think I've ever heard Nathan Oakley say that. He always diverts to somebody else to hands that one on.
Yeah,
First person I ever heard anybody say that straight line was curved was Jaron. He said that to us in this room, in this Discord server, when he came to come and have a chat.
So Jaron's the one who measured it, discovered it. Unless he got it from somewhere else.
You go in a straight line and come back on yourself.
Yeah, that was the thing today when I said, well, look, I'm facing north. I'm turning towards the west, and I'm 90 degrees. I've turned 90 degrees, and then Oakley pulled me up and said, "How can you get a 90-degree angle to a curve? You know, if the north-south is the latitude, and you're turning on the longitude and heading east, how have you got that 90-degree to the curve?" Well, how did they
Wow.
triangulate the ground when they when they mapped the land? Then they couldn't get a triangle there either then to a curve, because they must have known, like I said, they must have known through astronomy, if that's so, that it's polar centric.
Whoa. Completely separate. Don't get the two confused. Cardinal directions, laying down a baseline on the land for making grids. That's mapping, cartography. Looking at the lights in the skies is a completely separate thing. It's a different category.
Yeah, but what I was saying was that, if they knew that it was centric, why were they trying to map out grids?
Well,
Why
they mapped
didn't
the
they
grids out
show?
first, didn't they? That's what
Yes,
Nathan
of course they
Oakley's
did.
not realising.
No,
they
and that's what I
measured
said to
the
Brian.
lights in the sky
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, and that's what I said to Brian. I said, they mapped they measured the land by triangulation. It was later that they then related stars to it. And that's when the trick began. However they did that and changed that into the story. But said you're still there. You're still in the mobile hanging above your bed, and you brought all that with you, and you still, seems to me like you still got that in there, and you're trying to work out how you can change that into something and call it flat. So, it just didn't make sense to me, and maybe it's not fully thought out, But I wasn't relating them to the stars because I saw them as being separate. That came later. They weren't doing that. And same as the map. They weren't looking at a map and saying, right, this is the map. We have to now put a grid on this map because it's never been done before. They were just triangulating and measuring it, and then the elevations came later. And then the stars, however they plotted that on for whatever reason, and related that to latitude, I guess, by angle somehow, then that followed. If they knew that it was centric in the beginning when they were first mapping the land, then why did they bother to make grids if they knew that the longitude was curved?
Yeah, this is one of the things that's fascinated me since coming into this arena, to work out that people can imagine that perpendiculars, actually one of the perpendiculars can curve. But that's got to be something to do with the mind and the way the mind can process these things and compartmentalize them, right? To put them in different places, to put the perpendicular in one box and the circle in another, and never relate the two, yet they're obviously the same thing. I find that's a modern mental condition. It's got to be taught. I don't think people would take that on naturally.
No. When I'm listening to, as it was Brian today, talking a lot of stuff, I'm not listening, and I just kind of, remembered why I'm not listening, because it's a spell. And I'm not, so just thinking, that's why you don't take it in, because you don't want the spell that will then convince you that X, Y, and Z isn't X, Y, and Z. And that's what he said. He said that the mapping wasn't to do with north and northings and eastings, wasn't to do with the compass or cardinal directions. It was on an X, Y. It was just X and Y. It was just random. I said, well, then why are they not at a diagonal then? Why is a grid not diagonal on a map or at a slight angle? Why is it always relating to the cardinal directions then? If they didn't use that, they just used an XY grid, and it was, well, we'll start here, that'll do. And it went in a grid diagonally across the map. And then they presented that and say, oh, this is it. This is what we did. We went from here to there and we mapped it out. And made this grid, and well, we've now discovered there's this north place we can call north, and there's these cardinal directions. Yeah, we didn't take that into account. Let's just twist it round again. Let's just sort of swivel it or something. That'll do.
Well, I don't think that they did actually lay it out on a grid. They initially they start off with a baseline. Now that's going to be the line that has to be a certain length and has to be known precisely the length of that line. And from that, you can then just use trigonometry and the fact that triangles, right? Triangulation to spread across the land. You then need some way to relate all of those points together. And the grid is obviously the coordinate system, the grid reference. I mean, that's how we all know in the UK anyway, because I've never been in any other country and ever done any orienteering or anything like that. But you know that a grid, you can just open a map and give somebody a grid coordinate reference, right? And let them know. And they'll be able to grab another map of the similar area and know where you are. Like exactly what you're pointing at.
Yeah.
Obviously, GPS and, you know, modern phones and modern tech have changed that a bit over the last years. Maybe it may be different as how people look at it nowadays, but I know people of my age definitely understand a grid reference, like 8 coordinates or something. So you could have a 6 coordinate, or just, you know, just to put you within a square. It depends how accurate you want to place your position on these maps. But well known.
Yeah, I mean, it was I mean, the bits I read about it was an incredible task. You know, using chains, and then they found that wasn't. I mean, they were within a thousandth of an inch, and then they were using glass tubes instead.
Yeah.
So then they'd have to put them on trestles above the ground. You know, and yeah, incredible. And then they did this first theodolite they had. It was a massive thing.
Yeah,
massive. They had to
on trucks.
Yeah, and they had to lumber it up the mountain and all sorts over the land.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like, you know, put it in the back of your horse and cart. Right, move on, lads. You know, it was incredible engineering task. Amazing.
But they were obviously up to the task because the maps were made, centuries ago. You know, they've been doing this. They're well practiced in it, and you know they needed to know these sort of things, embankments, water courses. They needed to know it all.
Yeah, and from, you know, the knowledge of geometry, it was, you know. It wasn't changing. Triangle is a triangle, you know. There's no bending or curving or curved sides or 190-degree triangles or anything. It's from what we know in reality.
So for Nathan Oakley and QE to be teaching their audience, let's say, because I'm not too sure whether the audience that watches Nathan is you know, entirely flat earthers, or what sort of percentage. I know that when I watch it, I'm not watching it as a flat earther. I'm watching it to see the developments that are coming, because there's some really strange things happening within the flat earth community, particularly within the flat earth debate community. Now, there is talk of everybody saying that flat earth is getting more, right? Whatever their numbers are growing. Well, I don't know about that. But Nathan Oakley said today that he was above censorship. Now, I think that's a rather strange thing for somebody to come out and say. I can't imagine why Nathan Oakley, a flat earther, would be openly saying that he's above censorship. So it seems to me like there's a lot of misinformation coming out of there. Going out to tell people to say that the Earth's measured flat, misrepresenting surveyors, things that people say.
Yeah, again, that was kind of a bit of damage control because he was challenged about his figures, saying, your figures are going down, people aren't watching, you're not growing. And so he did a little bit today about, how he looked at his stats every morning when first thing he got up and looks at all the comments. And he's just interested in numbers as far as I can see. And he's playing on Fortnite. And maybe as long as his lifestyle rolls along,
He's not PC. Stop saying that.
He's not out doing any games. Yeah. He's not out doing anything constructive. As I said to him today, you don't do anything. You just put it out to the group of people around you, get them to make the calculations, hand it back to you. You write a script around it, and off you go.
Yeah, I'm hoping to meet you at Bedford Canal. Really, this summer sometime.
Yeah, no, really.
I'm absolutely hoping to do that. And that's just something to do. But, it is something that you can do. I don't know whether you've got a P1000, but we've got two of them. Bloods, I know Bloods will definitely be there. He's got another one, too. And we'll see who else we can get up there. I mean, I'm pretty sure that this on the level crew, if you want to call it, can put the most P1000s or camera equipment at a spot of any group of people. And I'm pretty sure Nathan Oakley couldn't do it, but Nathan Oakley could come and see it for himself too. He would be invited whenever we go out and do these sort of things. At least he could say he's done something. He's been out there and had a look through a camera or whatever. He could bring a sextant. Lamal, are you in the UK, Lamal? We've got a drone as well. If you are, you can welcome to come and see it. Come down to Bedford, dangling plumb bobs at Bedford Canal. It's going to become a thing.
When are you doing this, Bev?
I don't know. Sometime in the summer when we can get everybody together. We need some good weather. Like a window of good weather and a window where everybody can sort of get there. Obviously, it gets more tricky for people a little bit further away. I think I'm on a 3.5, 4 hour car journey just to get there,
away, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, top hat and tails.
Well, Kate, me and Sydney, and maybe come across the time when we can come down.
Yeah,
be interesting.
If you got a car, we'll let you know and get a trip down there.
Yeah. No, the answer is no. We'll probably take the train. Yeah, we'll probably be taking the train, but we could do with a train ride anyway. That's she wants to go on a train at some point.
I don't know how you get to Bedford.
Yeah, take a few trains. Yeah, a few trains.
And a probably big walk because it's out in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't even.
All right, let me do my research. I'll come.
Yeah, I would. It is pretty remote, but well worth a visit. If you're into this sort of thing, we call it the home of the level. So us being on the level, we call it our pilgrimage. We try and get there at least once a year.
Yeah, pilgrimage. I like it. Bring your spirit levels. That's it.
Yeah, and your top hat.
And your toothpicks. Apocryphon, he assured me that was the way to do it.
Yeah, it is. It's a good day out. And we do have some optic tests that we want to try and do as well. We've already done a few, but some extra ones. And you can have a go at the auto level, setting it up, doing a 2-peg test. It's just so you can say that you've done it. There's not a lot of people that can say those sort of things.
Yeah, that'd be something I'd be looking forward to. Have the knowledge of that. Yeah, that would be an advancement in some things. You could say, yeah, I know how that's done, not just read about how it's done. It's a very different thing, having something that lives within you that you have experience of than what you read.
Yeah. Have you gone away from your mic? Stepped away a bit. You're going down in volume.
Okay.
Yeah, so if anybody else has got any other things, I would say, particularly, please, if you're into this arena and you like to see the developments, the last night's show with QE will open your eyes to what's going on within this arena. Now, I don't know if anybody else follows any of the other people within the arena. I like to keep my eye on certain things, but now I know Nathan Oakley recently. What happens is there are obviously other people making models for the flat Earth, but Nathan Oakley, being a flat earther and not a very approachable flat earther, doesn't seem aware of what these other flat earthers are doing. Now, it's obviously difficult for these other flat earthers to go over to Nathan Oakley, because you would have thought if flat earthers were together as a cohesive group, they would want to promote what they're doing on other flat earth channels. And Nathan Oakley has a supposed an open platform for people to go over and do that. And in fact, all of the stuff that Nathan Oakley has ever done has been given to him by people that go over and communicate with him. Videos that he's watched, because I don't think he's ever actually done any of this stuff for himself. He's never measured an angle from a sextant. He's never measured a distance or set up an auto level. He's never done a 2-peg test. He's never got a P1000 and taken any pictures. Nothing. Everything he's got has been given to him by other people. Yet there are other flat earthers out there that are making models that Nathan Oakley doesn't want to acknowledge. In fact, he says the opposite. He says he doesn't do that. He says you need gas. You need a container to have gas pressure. But he won't state whether he believes there's a dome. Except parallel skies, which geometrically is fucking ridiculous. I can't... Unless he's got like a roof that's a flat roof that's parallel with the ground, but the ground isn't even flat. So I don't know...
Hey, Bev.
I don't know whether Nathan Oakley understands
that's why
what
I asked
parallel is.
About the sun and the sunspots, right? Because we all know the sun's observable by quite a few locations on the Earth, and these sunspots are also visible, and you would be able to see more of the sun if it was a small and local sun. So that's another interesting thing. The sunspots kind of give it away as well. Something's not right with that model.
Well, infinite distance, or sort of very, very... He had a go at Whitsitt for saying very, very far away. But if that's the case, I'm not too sure how Nathan manages to get a parallel sky. Can't just be conjuring it up because of his misunderstanding of the word parallel and a non-geometric term. I don't know. In fact, I don't know what's going on. We try to do logical statements. We deal specifically within geometry because we know that geometry is the thing that you can get proofs from, and not like confusing proofs with long quadratic formulas or anything like that within maths. A geometric proof is a very logical process, and it can be derived from first principles. That's why geometry is the foundation of mathematics. It doesn't rely on number. It relies on logic. Nathan seems to be throwing that away. That's my gripe with them. Always has been. Right back from QE doing the fallacious modus tollens. That he still won't say. And Nathan's been trying to push that even harder just recently. The so-called black swan. Which is actually a scientific concept derived by Karl Popper. Falsification. And modus tollens is the way to falsify a claim. So when people make claims, you can then make a modus tollens to find whether you can accept the information as true or false. The information of the claim that has been made. Nathan Oakley makes a claim that the Earth is measured flat. Yet he doesn't seem to want to put it through that falsification process. I don't know. I'm speechless, really. But not really, because you realise that, you know, people always used to say flat earthers are, they don't understand mathematics. And I always thought that was a bit of a, you know, a generalisation. But I think you can see where it comes from when you listen to people. Now, I don't claim to be a genius within any of this. But I do consider some of the people around here much more wiser than I am within mathematics and geometry and logic and all of that sort of stuff. And I would hope that they would correct me if I was ever saying anything that was wrong. Since logic is derived logically, there's processes that can be followed by just about anyone. Geometry is open to all sorts of understandings up to a certain level. And that's why we try and keep within the simplicity. We call it advanced simplicity. Just so people can follow it and keep with us. But like I say, I'm not going to be doing any of that sort of stuff out in the open. I'm going to be making videos specifically for that sort of stuff. Not going to be doing anything within these live shows. I don't think it's meant for open conversation, because it will just end up confusing people. It's open for people to confuse the issue. I will get the videos sorted and we'll go over them and put them together, and then people will be able to critique the videos as they are, as they stand. Rather than us doing it live, we can talk about it afterwards. That's what's to come. Time are we at?
So I've looked it up and it's like 5 hours for me to get to Bedford. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
If we're going to meet up at like lunchtime or something, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we have to go from Two Bridges. I think there's about a half an hour drive to go 6 miles.
Ah, right, yeah. I didn't really specify where in Bedford, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to get to. I don't want to forget what the pub's called. The Lamb. Is it the Lamb? Lamb and Packet? I don't know. Oh, the mall's not. Maybe there'll be somewhere in America that you could do. There must be some equivalent place. Drainage ditches. The thing about Bedford is that this canal or drainage ditch is dead straight, and there's nothing in between the two bridges, so you can literally see one bridge from the other bridge with no obstruction in between, and I think that's pretty unique. Hopefully they don't start building to obstruct. There's a railway bridge if you go the other way, and you can't see that far because you can't get on the railway bridge. But this is just two road bridges with nothing in between. It's a pretty good place. And we were always struggling for what sort of a test could you do? Because we're not trying to prove a flat Earth. We're not trying to prove a globe Earth. We just work with level. We start with the basics. Once you can prove the basics, you can then place that as a lemma. And other people can do whatever they want with it. I mean, it already stands as that anyway. Some people, like QE, already state that as an axiom, but I would state if it can be proved, then it wouldn't be an axiom. It's not an axiom. But you can prove axioms too as well. I don't know whether people are aware of that. I don't know whether most people are aware of what an axiom is. We might need to start going over geometry a little bit more. Basics, go right down to the basics. I know that does tend to upset a lot of people. It did last time when we started doing it.
Yeah, you can try to disprove axiom, and you will land in contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way of disproving or proving axiom. Because if you are trying to disprove axiom, you will land in contradiction or just absurd.
Yeah, there you go. Welney Bridge. That's it. Yeah. It's asking Gottaldia there. Is a fan of the dragon. Right, has anybody got anything else they would like to go over? If not, I think we could nip into Discord afterwards and have a bit of a further conversation about this. Obviously, get a bit of do a glasses off roundup of what's gone on over the last few days. See whether we can come to some understanding of what is going on. If nobody's got anything else, that's what we're going to be doing. No? Okay. Have we got anybody here?
Cheers, mate.
Well, you stay in here in Discord. It's going to get, we're going to be talking about some other sorts of
after party. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so we're going to invite everybody from the chat. If you want to come into Discord. We're going to spice things up a bit, and we'll get to talk over some of the other things. Maybe Elder Bear might give us a bit of a breakdown a bit better. We'll get to question. I'm going to be going over the imaginometry sort of stuff, going over the early stuff, because I've noticed Nathan Oakley's bringing back 4 years ago. Something stuck in his mind from over 4 years ago. And I think, to be honest, that's the time when we were originally questioning the modus tollens and whether... I think Nathan Oakley's been fooled by a few people over the last few years. I don't want to say he's naive, but he maybe he's been led by people. Maybe not. Maybe he's the one that's decided to do all of these sort of things. I don't know. Anybody got any requests for their Buster song on the way out? I'll have a look for something relative.
Well, I got to dip out. My bed's calling me, so have a nice evening, afternoon, whatever. See you later.
See you later. What have we got? I've got actually a thing that Beddy brought with us, and he said, is it rational to believe that level is horizontal and that you live on a globe? Just one of the questions we there we go. So we'll go with that, I think. Something for thinking about. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, page is gone. True level. New one. I'll go with that. I quite like this video. I did. True level 23 for page. Oh, yeah, this is a new one, Page. New video, anyway. Same song, new video. And an intro. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back Friday, but you never know. But as always, if you want to come and join the chat, come into Discord. You'll get a better conversation. No public eyes, if you will. Come in, ask us anything. And we'll see you Friday. Oh, wait a minute, what happened? There you go.
Hey, Buster, are you there? Have you got your guitar?
Yeah, I've got it right here. I've just been working on something new. It's a song about looking for the truth. Play it for you guys.
What are you doing? Want your shelf level or not? And if I say yes, you're gonna provide that for me with that? Yes? See the bubble? I'm familiar with the bubble, Morty. I also dabble in precision, and if you think you can even approach it with your sad, naked caveman eyeball and a bubble of air, you're the reason this species is a failure, and it makes me angry. You want to experience true level? Do you?
Oh, that's in the mind for all to face.
And it makes me angry.
Choices will be made.
You want to experience true level? Do you?
You can choose to let your mind be free.
Wow, it's so... Oh my God. Oh, Christ. Yeah, true level, bitch.
You might think that you're right.
Exactly, it's level.
Everybody knows that you're wrong.
And it makes me angry.
There are things
Wow,
in this
it's
world
Oh my God. Oh, Christ. Yeah, true level, bitch.
in the end you find we're all looking for the truth.
Save it for YouTube. I'll keep looking for clues. Wow, it's so... Oh my God. Oh, Christ. Yeah, true level, bitch.
And that's my midpoint, 981. But look what I did here. And bam, there's the radius of the Earth.
Everything's crooked. Reality is poison. I want to go back. I hate this.
Using this bridge.
Morty.
computing the radius of the Earth, 3 coplanar points in 3D would describe a circle.
You want to experience true level? Do you? True level, bitch. I'll keep looking for clues.
That's the thing, your vision is already being obfuscated by the spherical cap. One of the humps. Radius of the Earth.
Well, you seem to be in charge of what I get to remember. Why? Good question.
And bam, there's the radius of the Earth.
Yeah, true level, bitch.
Now we have our.
It has been directly measured.
By Jesse Kozlowski.
You know, I got the idea from Bulett. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, true level, bitch. I'll keep looking for clues. Yeah, true level, bitch. Yeah, true level, bitch. Oh my God. Oh Christ. Yeah, true level, bitch. True level, bitch.